Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining us from. You're listening to CPA Review and More with your host, Phil Yaeger. I'm Rob Medford, your producer, and together we're bringing you the #1 podcast for CPAs. This is our special first episode of the Double Podcast Tuesday, which releases the first Tuesday of every month. So don't forget, if you're listening to this on our release date, we will be having a special Facebook Live episode of CPA Review and More at 7 o'clock Eastern this evening. If you can't make it for the episode while it's live, don't worry, we're going to broadcast it through as a regular podcast as we do every first Tuesday of the month to bring you all the great quality content that we have to offer. Yaeger CPA Review is proud to announce they're now offering their online review course through an online monthly subscription service. So if you don't have the money to put directly up front for a full course, you can now subscribe on a month-to-month basis for the Yaeger CPA Review course. Check out YaegerCPAReview.com for more information about that. We will have the link in the description as well. Without further ado, I'm going to roll the podcast straight over to Phil.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. This is Phil Yaeger, and welcome to our podcast called CPA Review and More. Today, we're not going to be talking about CPA Review, although I do have the best CPA Review course out there, all right? And also, I have the best producer, Rob Medford. Hi, Rob. How you doing today? That's great. He gives himself an applause. What an obnoxious guy. All right. Well, anyway, today, we search the globe to find guests. We really do. And we got, this person is so unique. And once we start speaking with her, you'll understand why she's so unique. And her name is Charlene Assam. Hello, Charlene.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm fine. All right. I want you to cheer up during the podcast, okay? All right.
Yes.
Charlene, are you having a good day?
Yes, I am. I'm having an amazing day so far, yes.
All right. Today, and yes, for those who don't know it, which is probably everyone listening, all right, today is Charlene's birthday. Hey.
Yay.
Hey. All right, hold it 1 second. I'm blowing in the candle out. I made a wish. Did you get that check of $2 million?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's what I wished. Good. All right. Well, Charlene is, by the way, how old are you today, Charlene?
So today is my 24th birthday.
24th birthday. Wow, that's unbelievable. And you sound a lot younger than 24. You really do. And that's a good thing. But anyway, getting back to this podcast, we have Charlene on because Charlene is not from this area. Well, that means Maryland, but are you actually a United States citizen, Charlene? I didn't know if not.
No, I'm not.
All right. Charlene comes from the country of, let me see if I can get this right, Sri Lanka, right?
No.
No. Oh, wait a minute. Let me wash out my mouth with soap. All right. I said Charlene was from Sri Lanka. All right. The answer is, well, did you ever pass by there at all? Have you ever stepped into Sri Lanka?
No.
Charlene, where are you from? I know you told me, and I thought it was Sri Lanka. Is it Albany, New York? Cameroon. That's right. By the way, that's one of my favorite types of pastries. I love Cameroons. All right.
Oh,
but anyway.
my God.
I'm sorry, that's macaroons. Macaroons, yes. All right. But anyway, Charlene, tell us about your journey to get to New York. Did you come to New York first from Cameroon?
No, I actually flew into Syracuse, which is upstate New York. No.
She came into Syracuse, New York, and it was, what month was that? November? October?
August 12th.
August. And the next day, there was a blizzard in Syracuse, New York. But anyway, Syracuse is very cold. I know that. But,
yes.
All right, you actually went to school at the State University of New York, which is known as SUNY, and you went to Oswego, the Oswego campus, correct?
Yes, I did.
And do you know who went to Oswego, SUNY at Oswego? He's on TV. He's famous. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, so many people went to Oswego.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not talking
so
about
many.
myself. I'm not talking about myself, Charlene. Who went to Oswego? Okay, who went?
So,
Anybody?
yeah,
You
no,
just said
so
there's a lot of famous people. Now, can you think of one?
yeah,
All right, go
yeah,
ahead.
two actually. So the first person I'll think of is our global CEO and chairman at PwC, Bob Morris. So he went to
Oh,
Oswego.
whoa. But Al Roker seems like a nice gentleman. Has he come up there to do any commencement? What have you seen him up there at all?
Yeah, so I've actually seen him. He came to Oswego a bunch of times while I was there. But he also did like they do so many different events like in the School of Broadcasting and Mass Communication, and he has like the radio station on campus. So he has a lot. He's very involved with this and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he mentions his school often when I listen to Today's Show. Yeah, I know. So
Mhm.
he's a good advocate for the school. Really is.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's go back to Charlene Assam, who I messed up where she came from. All right. Now, Charlene works for Price Waterhouse Coopers, a international CPA firm, all right, known as one of the big four. And she is an assurance associate at PwC. And how long have you been there? I'm sorry. How long have you been at PwC?
So almost 2 years. So it'll
In
be
2 years, 2 years, only 2 years. And, all right, she is a CPA already, has passed the CPA exam. She also has an MBA is that Oswego?
Yes, I did. Yes, from Oswego as well.
And all of that in such a short period of time, all right? What do you attribute that you were able to do all of that in such a short period of time? What was who actually influenced you as far as getting this education so early in life?
Oh, this is a very good question. I think definitely I would say the first people is my family. I come from a very, very educated, very well learned family. So I would attribute that to like my family a lot because everybody's always striving for the best. So it's I'm around people like that. So then I just know that I have to do better. I have to do well so that, I can keep making my parents proud and just our entire family proud. So I think my family, honestly, 100%.
And they must be really, really proud of you. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think they are. They are.
I hope you'll make a copy of this and send it to them. All right.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah. They all know.
and
Yes.
and what is your father? Your father what is his profession?
So my father is a doctor.
He's a medical doctor. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have siblings or
Yes, yes.
And
So
what
I
are they?
have older.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me what they are, please.
My sister is a doctor as well. She actually just finished med school yesterday, so she just graduated. She's in residency now, and my brother is in.
Wow, that is terrific.
Mm-hmm.
That is terrific. So as you say, I'm sure they really were a tremendous influence for you for education. But
Yeah.
all right, why did you pick being an accountant, a CPA? Is this obviously you didn't, get born and say CPA. That wasn't the first words out of your mouth. But seriously, what made you want to be a CPA?
Yeah. So I would say, in addition to the fact that I decided to become a CPA, both my parents are in the medical field, and then my sister and blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, too, I have two really great mentors, both who are CPAs as well, and they have younger kids who are my younger cousins. And I spent a lot of time with them growing up, just babysitting and always just going over to go play. So I just really admired their lifestyle. Like one of my mentors, like my aunt, her job was very flexible. She had so many cool jobs that would give her so many free perks. So I love that.
Now, when you started studying for the exam, did you have a plan at all as far as how you were going to study, how you were going to get this done, and how long it would take you to get it done?
Yes. So I'm not the most organized human being in the world, but the one thing I can definitely attest to was I tried to be very organized for this exam. In terms of having a timeline, I didn't say, okay, by 2020, I want to be done. No, I didn't have that in my mind. I did know that I wanted to take every part only once. Now, that didn't happen because I had to retake 2 parts, but I knew that I wasn't going, even if I was to retake it, I was retaking it only once. So with that kind of motivated me. And in terms of like a plan, for sure. So I knew that I decided I didn't go as if everybody gives you their recommendation on like the sequence of the tests that you should take, but I had to choose what was best for me and what was best at the time. So when I started studying for the test, I actually lost somebody in my family, and it was
I'm sorry to hear that.
very no, it's okay. It was actually a very difficult moment for me. So it made sense because I didn't have much time. I had so initially I was going to take FAR, but I was like, this was August, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it by October and then start studying for the next part. But because that happened and it really moved me a lot, so I was very displaced by a lot of things. So I still ended up taking FAR, but I gave myself enough time. So that in itself, I had to pick something. And then I also picked something that I knew that I was confident in. And I always recommend that to people is when you're studying for the test, because the exam, it's not the easiest test, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. So I always say take the first part that will give you motivation. So take something that you're very confident in so that it can give motivation for the rest. So I took FAR. So then I was able to really, it boosted my confidence, because despite everything that had happened in my personal life, I was still able, I took my time. I studied for it for 4 months, and I passed on the first try, and then it gave me very high motivation, like to keep going to take the rest. So, but in terms of I can go into depth if my detailed study plan, I would wake up every morning at 5 a.m., study 5, because I was also full-time in my MBA, and I was working on campus and teaching an accounting class.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do 5 to 7 a.m., go to work, and then in between, and then after work, I had school. And then after school, I come home every day and study for 3 hours. I didn't have school or work on Fridays, so I would go to the library 8 to 5 p.m., like full work day, do the whole thing. Saturday, do the whole thing, do the whole 8 hours work. But Sundays is one day that for some reason I cannot focus on Sundays. So I would just do review questions and then just go over a little, but I wouldn't really intensely study because I needed one day to just recuperate, go to church, and then just get ready for the stuff. So that's very, very high level of study plan.
And you actually, you started with financial. What was the second part you took?
So I did financial, and then I did BEC, and then I did regulation, and then I did audit after that. So I passed FAR first try, BEC on the first try as well, and then regulation, I didn't pass that on the first try, and audit. So the last 2 which I took, I had to retake those.
Can you repeat that, what you just said?
Yes, so the last, I had to retake those.
Okay. And so in all, how long did it take you for the entire exam?
So it took me 11 months for the whole from start to
finish. And when you study for this exam, would you say that you have to give up something of your normal life, or you can just go back to whatever you were doing before and add the studying for the CPA exam? Is that fair to say, or do you think if people are going to study, should they take into account that they're going to have to give up something that they were doing before because of, you only have so many hours in a day, all right?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously, you must have given up something. What did you give up while you were studying?
Yeah, so I think with that, one thing that I really think is important for people to keep in mind is there is a lot of power on this journey. I had to remind myself that there's a lot of power in delayed gratification. So yes, I had to give up a lot. So I gave up all social events. I did not go to any birthday parties. Even my MBA graduation was during this period. Typically my family will have a big party and everything, but we actually just went to lunch and that was it, because I had to come back because I was taking audit a couple of days later. So I had to give up all social events, no birthdays, no events, no dinners, nothing. If it wasn't related to school or work or city, I did not do it. So because I needed to really focus. And then most important thing, oh my God, with this generation, I got rid of every social media app on my phone for 11 months. Everything came off my phone. The only thing I had was WhatsApp, because that's how I used to communicate with my family back home. So that was the only social media app I application I had, but everything else went. I gave up all of the 11 because the thing is, when you pass the test and you realize that you have so much time to catch up and do everything that you want to do. So for me, I was just like, I'm just going. I started preparing myself psychologically long before I actually started. That summer before I started, I was interning, but I kept preparing myself, get everything done that you need to get done, because when I start, I'm not stopping till I pass. So I would have, and this was, I gave up 11 months, but if I had failed a couple more, it would have gone as long as I had finished taking all my tests. So that was just, it was a very brutal way, Some people are able to balance it, but I know myself to a certain degree, and I know that it's easy for me to just be like, oh yeah, it's just one event, I can go do this, or it's just one birthday party, I can do this, but I have to say no to everything, and people who are close to you would understand that, and everybody understood that. I stopped getting invites to a lot of things because everybody knew I was not going to be able to attend, and then now I'm done, and I'm a free bird to do whatever.
So really, you're only giving up, really, when you think about it, maybe you could do the whole thing in 11 months, which is less than a year, and that's not a lot of time giving up in your lifetime to study for an exam, which probably financially will give you a lot more money than if you don't take the exam. So, it's only 11 months. That's not a lot of time. It's not like going to college for another 4 years. So,
No.
So you got to give up something. I think that's very important. And when you study, did you study at home or in the library?
So sometimes, in the morning, of course, because it's 5 a.m., I would just study in my room, and then when I come back at night, I would study, because the thing is, I lived off campus at the time, and I didn't want, the library was on campus, and I didn't want to have to walk home so late at night. So I would just come home, put my phone on airplane mode, put on silent, and then just study at home. Or sometimes I like studying on my bed. For some reason, I like being comfortable when I study, so I would just sit on my bed and study. Or during the days when I didn't have school or work, I would just go to the library and just go to a quiet room, study there and everything. Yeah, so it just depends on what made the most sense for me. But typically, I would go to the library during the day, and at night I would study at home.
I tell people that when they're studying, they should have some goal in mind. Instead of, I've asked people, why are you going for the CPA exam? And they'll say, well, they've always wanted to be a CPA. And I'll say to them, well, that's not really a real good reason, to study for the exam. You got to have some type of goal. And why are you willing to go through this rather than just, well, I just like to be a CPA. Yeah. What was your goal? What was your goal?
I'm very, very to my family. It's insane how close I am to my cousins. And I really believe that, if I have my exam, everything I do, whether it's waking up every morning to go to work, I do it for them. So it just really motivated me. I want to do well for them. I want us to get to a point in our lives where we're financially independent. We are wealthy. We are not just rich, but we are wealthy. And I knew that having this exam, granted, I really enjoy the concept and everything of basic accounting, but I knew that if I have that, it will afford me the flexibility, and it will just it's very motivating, because I cannot even tell you, and I've seen this since I passed. All my younger cousins, everybody is doing this, getting this great internship, doing this, doing that. And I remember the day I passed, all my aunts and uncles kept saying, you're doing this because of your younger ones, and you see how much they are going to be motivated. And I've seen that. So for me, it's very, very circle. So really, three-quarters of my motivation in life really comes from those behind me, my cousins, my siblings, and everybody. So I really wanted to do well for them and just do really well for our family. So that's kind of what really pushed me to do it.
It sounds like you need a real support, group, which is most helpful. And, I tell people, well, if they are married, they should have this significant other. They have to be able to support them, not financially, but emotionally. And because it's a journey, but a very short journey, but it's still a journey. And the other partner to the marriage has to be willing to say, well, I did this, you did this in the marriage. Now I'm going to take over what you were doing so you can study. And, if you don't have a person who, is your significant other who's willing to do that, and not support you, it really makes it, very difficult. It makes it more difficult. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah,
No, yeah, I completely agree because like it's as you mentioned, it's a journey, but it's also not easy because you'll get to a point. I remember so many. I would be in the library and come home. I would just cry for like 2 hours straight. And if you ask me why I'm crying, I wouldn't even tell you, but because I was just so mentally tired. And then I remember the first time when I failed graduation, because that was the first time I failed. I didn't even cry. I was just shocked. But when I failed audit after that, I remember I cried for a day straight. And mind you, I'm crying to my parents who live thousands and thousands of miles away in Cameroon. So they had to, like I was with my uncle and aunt at the time. So they were like going crazy. Like my uncle felt so bad because, he had seen how much effort I had been putting and everything. And then my parents were very worried about the whole situation. So when I passed, it was not even like, I was passing. It was like everybody had passed because everybody was involved. Like even before I go take my test, like this person will call, will pray on the phone. Like it was a whole, yes. It was a collective effort because you definitely need people who are going to be there to really support the journey, Even those who pass on their first try, it's not easy to keep going at it for so long. So it's very important that you have people around you to be able to encourage you and keep you going.
Was there ever a moment you felt like quitting and say, hey, this is just not worth it? Did you have any of that?
Oh yeah, so many, and that's where your why comes in. Because if you don't have a strong enough why, when those thoughts come, it's very, very easy to give up. So, like I mentioned, when I started studying for FAR, I actually lost my grandmom, and me and her were like the closest things of this world.
Yeah.
I was very, very close to her. So I remember when she died, like I would literally just have meltdowns in the middle of the day. I was just at work and I'm just crying and stuff like that. So then I had to really, and at that point, I had to ask myself, does it make sense to just give up and just, not study and just take time and mourn her? Or should I just keep going? But I had to remember that. I remember the day I got my offer for PwC full time, she like called me and she was screaming on the phone because she was so happy. So that's in that, still relating to my family. Like, I remember how happy she was, and that really pushed me and made me, okay, no matter how many times you fail, no matter how tired you are, you cannot give up. So, but I wanted to stop taking the test so many times because you also see other, because mine, and I had said I had failed twice. So, but I was surrounded also who had taken the test on one try. I know so many of my friends had sat down, taken all four and passed. So I'm looking at them, they have all passed. They are now doing things, traveling and living their life. But the summer before I started full time, normally people would take time to travel, but I spent all 3 months in the library. I did not go out once that whole summer because I knew I wanted to be done. So, when you see other people and you're like, why is my case so different? It really, really made me feel bad. But I had to remind myself the reason why I was doing this. And then that's how I was able to encourage yourself. And I would say that, even for our listeners out there, it's very important that you also you need to be able to find a way to motivate yourself because it's not every time. Because yes, my family was around me, but not everybody is a CPA. They may not understand the debt and everything of what really goes the material wise. So you have to also be able to encourage yourself and make sure that you try to motivate yourself as much as you can.
That's a very nice memory you have of your grandmother. That sounds very nice.
Yeah.
It really is. You can carry that with you forever. It's terrific.
I remember the day I passed, so many people messaged me from work, congratulations, we're so happy for you, and it was very nice, it was very, very good, because actually when I passed, I was in Cameroon, I was back home, but people still reached out to me and said congratulations.
Well, I want to ask you, though, did they wish you happy birthday today? You didn't go to work today.
Yes.
All right, what did they do? Did anybody buy you a nice gift, like a new car, or did you get any of that? No?
Unfortunately, no new car, but also I don't need a car in New York.
That's right. You're right. Oh gosh, people who never lived in New York, I don't think they understand that. It's such grace. The mass transportation is so great. You don't want a car, and the insurance is outrageous. You know what? I forgot that. I haven't been in New York in years, but I forgot that. You're absolutely right. Best way to get around is mass transportation, most definitely. Now, at PwC, let's talk about what you do there. You're a consultant. Are you in the consulting team?
No, so I'm actually in the audit practice.
You're in the audit practice, okay? And
yes.
Is that the audit, the assurance division?
Yes. So
and what is assurance, just for people listening who don't know what it is? What is that?
So assurance is another name for audit. So we basically have, so I'm in the external audit group. And under that, I'm under non-financial and specifically consumer markets and industrial products. So we basically go out to companies and actually audit their financial statements and or issue opinions, depending on if you have a public client or if you have a private company. So yes, assurance, which is also known as audit.
Now, when you started working there, before you started, did they give you a choice of the areas you could work in, or
Yes.
did you just get put into assurance? How did that work?
So because I had, you get the option. So some people are in tax, some people are in audit, and then there are also many people who are in the consulting because we are a professional services firm. So I picked audit, but I had the option to pick tax or audit. And because I had done an internship the summer before I started full time, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. So, and I interned in the same group and same practice and everything. So. But they do give you the option.
Well, what would you say you're doing assurance now, but do you have an area you think you would enjoy the same or more than what you're doing now?
For now, I really like audit so far. I think I still have a ways to go in terms of learning more material and the technical side of it, which I think now in my second year, I think I've definitely learned a lot. But I definitely think that I still definitely have like some ways to go. But so far, I think I'm enjoying it.
Great. That's great. And I know we discussed earlier that you are bilingual, which is quite impressive. All right. And I actually, I don't tell most people, but I am bilingual too. Did you know that? Because I speak English and New Yorkish. All right. So, that's two different languages to some people. But anyway, and I thought that was a cute remark, but it really wasn't. Anyway, you speak English and French, correct?
Yeah.
Do you get to use your second language? Is that the only two languages you speak?
So I speak English, French, and then I speak like broken English, which is Pidgin. But of course, it's not like an official language or anything. But it's English, but it's just broken English. So I speak that as well.
Broken English. Is that?
Yeah. So there's like.
Can you give me an example? Give me an example of broken English.
So I can say, like, just tell me to say something, and then I can tell you.
Okay. All right. Here's a sentence. I've never met Phil Yaeger, but I think he's a pretty dynamic guy. Go ahead.
Okay, so I would say if this was Pidgin English, I would say I never ever meet Bill Yaeger, but I think he's a fine person.
We're using profanity just now. I didn't really understand that.
No.
I know you.
I never met Bill Yaeger, but I think he's a nice person.
I'm sure you're a terrific person.
Yeah.
Do you get to use the French at work at all? Do you deal with clients?
Not on a daily basis, not like every single day, but one of my clients used to have, or they do have like a French division. So sometimes some work will come like in French or anything, but they speak English as well. So it's not like a constant thing, but I definitely, but I've used it a couple of times, but it's not like an everyday thing.
Well, if you don't continue to speak the language, don't you forget it, French?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think I'm losing a little bit of it. So when I go to Cameroon, I want to like practice. Or if I'm around people who speak French here, like I would just try to speak French as much as possible. But yeah, you would say it's difficult for me to, like, I still understand 150%, like I understand well. Wow. But in terms of like the like speaking it and writing, I still know how to write everything. But speaking it, certain things like the tenses and stuff like that, I tend to forget a lot. But like I try, like people I know who check, I'll just make them speak French to me.
That's good. Well, that's the way you keep your language up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me, you've done so much in the 2 years. Do you know what your long-term goals are? What do you have any long-term goals that you want to accomplish?
Yeah. So professionally, I definitely have a couple of things that I want to still do. So like I kind of like vaguely mentioned, but I have a YouTube channel, like I mentioned, The Migrant, where I speak with and encourage young professionals in their journeys. So I would definitely, in terms of professional long-term growth, I want to see that channel really like bloom and actually people's lives get impacted through like the content which I upload. And I would say I would love to have a lot of more opportunities to do like speaking engagements and work with children. I'm very big on financial literacy and really focused on kids 8 to 10 years old, particularly that age group. So I definitely want to be able to do more work with them, whether it's through work, outside of work, or just depending on whatever it is. So I'm definitely looking to that. And then also I'm open to everything. I don't have like any particular goal in mind, but I really try to take one day at a time and really enjoy and really bask in the moment. Like right now, I'm going into my 3rd year at work, so I'm just trying to like really have fun and just look forward to what I have at the moment. And then if any other opportunity presents itself, just keep my ears and mind open, not to be so stuck into, because life is short. So I want to like be able to enjoy and really do things that I would typically not be able to do.
Once again, what do you do on your YouTube channel? You are a motivator? Is that what you do?
So on my YouTube channel, I am able to, so I have different people who come and speak on my channel. So our message is always to inspire change and inspire intentional choices in the lives of young professionals. So it could be in relation to your health, wellness, or your professional career, actually making people think about the decisions that you make before you actually make those decisions. And when you make the decisions, you've been responsible for those decisions that you make. So I have a lot of content up there already. I've had the channel for a couple of months now. So I just really try to reach out to people as much as possible in whatever capacity and really help them in their journey to become better versions of themselves.
And what is it called, the YouTube channel?
It's called The Migrant Hope.
The Migrant Hope. Okay.
THE and then migrant and then hope. It's one word, The Migrant Hope.
And you've been doing that how long now?
Since October 2018. So a couple of months now.
Oh, that's great. And, how many followers, can you tell me how many followers you have at this point?
Yes. So as of today, I think I have 130, if I'm not mistaken. I can give you the exact number because I
well, no, 130. That's.
Yeah, I have 130 today.
You want to give your channel sort of a plug while we have you? Do a commercial. Here we go. We're going to do a commercial. All right. All right. Here we go. Are you ready for this one? Charlene Assam is on a YouTube channel. She is a motivator. All right. Charlene, tell us what the channel does here. And please put in a commercial. Create a commercial. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charlene Assam, and I'm a CPA MBA. I'm also the curator of the Migrant Hope channel. The Migrant Hope channel inspires choice and intentional decisions in the lives of young professionals. I upload videos every other Wednesday onto YouTube, and I create content so that you feel inspired to make a new jump or to make intentional decisions in your professional career. I'm on Instagram at The Migrant Hope and on YouTube as The Migrant Hope. I'm the only Migrant Hope you'll see on YouTube, so it's very easy to find my information. Yeah.
Do you have people that write to you on the YouTube channel? Do they?
Yes. So I have people who leave comments and everything, like if they have any questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's I mean, I sometimes like or don't like, what do you call it? The Instagram stuff and the Facebook, the social media. A lot of times I don't like social media, but I think it can actually pay a great service, such as yourself. I mean, hey, how many people? I mean, I don't know. You're probably the only person I know that's just turning 24 and is already accomplished all these things. That's pretty good. All right. By the time I was 24, I was still wondering, well, I won't tell you what I was wondering. All right. Actually, I graduated college when I was 22. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I was as mature as you are, believe me. But Charlene, you have been a terrific person to speak with. Is there anything else you want to share with us that you can think of?
No, I guess just encourage everybody, if you're thinking of studying for this exam, if you're thinking of the CPA journey, I definitely encourage you to keep at it, and it would allow you a lot of opportunities that I think you'll be blown by them. So just keep going. It's not the easiest, but it's probably one of the most rewarding things that you'll do for yourself. So
what is something that you have bought as a result of getting the CPA? Is there something of a materialistic thing that you have actually bought as a result of being a CPA?
I guess the one thing I bought, I don't even know if it's like I said, but I bought a Mac laptop because I needed to be able to edit videos on my YouTube. So that was one thing I bought.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I passed the exam, I can't remember if I bought anything, but I do remember one thing. I remember I passed the exam. My father and parents were still alive, but I remember that my father, he was suffering from Parkinson's at the time. But when I told him, and they were in Florida, when I told him that I passed, he actually cried on the phone. And that was the first time I ever heard my father cry. And he was so happy. And I'm glad I was able to make him happy. And he was so proud, too, because he wasn't the type who would, say, I'm proud, I'm happy, that was the first time he said it. And I'm glad I was able to give him that while he was still alive. So anyway, Charlene, I apologize. I messed up where you were from. And now I know where you're from. So in case I get there, I will look for you. And best of luck in your career. You sound like you're really going places. And I think we're gonna hear your name a lot in the future. In fact, it may be PricewaterhouseCoopers and Assam. Okay? All right, that's what I'm looking for. All right. But anyway, Charlene, it was a pleasure, and have a happy birthday, and enjoy your birthday. And if I was there, I would enjoy to have some cake with you, which I don't need. But anyway, all right, just have a great birthday, and thank you so much for spending some time with us on the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And this is Phil Yaeger, and please listen to our podcast. Once again, it's every week. I believe it's on Tuesdays, right, Rob? Right? And we're trying to get some real interesting people. I think you're going to see in the weeks ahead, we got some interesting people coming up, different areas of interest. So please listen and just enjoy it, because remember, I do the podcast for two reasons. One, I want to inform you, and two, I like to entertain you. And if I can accomplish some of each of those two things, then I've done my job. And once again, I couldn't do this without Rob Medford, my executive producer. And thank you, Rob.
Once again, I'd like to thank you for being the best part of CPA Review and More with your host, Phil Yaeger of Yaeger CPA Review. Again, my name's Rob Medford. I'm your producer and director here at CPA Review and More and Yaeger CPA Review. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear about on the podcast, we want to hear from you. Send me an email to podcast@YaegerCPAReview.com. That email will be in the description bar below. If you're in the market for a CPA review course or simply want to know more about the CPA exam, check out YaegerCPAReview.com, and you can learn more about our new subscription format. Again, if you're in the market for a CPA review course, Yaeger now offers a month-to-month subscription format of their CPA review product with a no long-term commitment, so you can check it out, take your exams, and then when you're done, simply cancel your subscription or keep it rolling if you want continued access to the course material. For more information about our subscription, check out YaegerCPAReview.com. Until next time, everybody, thank you for listening and take care. We look forward to seeing you at tonight's Facebook Live. Again, that is on Yaeger CPA Review's Facebook page. That show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.